In our first tutorial, we're going to see how to get started with ICPro and to take a look at some of the basic options available to us. Now, when you've installed the program from the disk or from a download, you'll get this icon on your desktop. And you double click this in the usual way to run the program. So we double click that. Now the first screen here gives us a choice of display options. This determines what will be shown on your laptop screen and what will be shown on the projector screen. Now we're going to take a closer look at this second option here, two screens dual view, in a later tutorial. So for now we're going to select single screen. Single screen means that the display on the laptop will be exactly the same as that on the projector screen. So we click single screen. Now this is what I call the setup screen, and it's here that you can not only get all sorts of information about the current status of the program, but you can also select an array of options to get the software to run exactly as you want it to. But for this first tutorial, we're going to leave everything on its default setting and jump straight in and see how to run a simple competition. And we're going to do this using a set of 10 demo images which are embedded into the software. Now these images are sized 1024 by 768 pixels because that's the resolution size that I'm using for these tutorials. So if you're watching this on a machine with a higher resolution, you'll find that the images won't fill the screen. So we'll start running the demo competition by clicking this red button, Demo, down the bottom left hand corner. Now this is what I will be calling the control screen. In the centre, in yellow, we get two bits of information. First, which picture set, or pic set in program language, that has been chosen. And in this case it's 0, and this stands for the demonstration set of pictures. We'll learn all about pic sets in later tutorials. And below that it shows how many judges will be scoring these images, and the default setting here is 1. Next we're going to look at the red letters in the bottom half of the screen, P, C, J and R. Now these represent letters on the keyboard. So when a judge comes along to judge your competition, he quite often has not seen the images before, and he will ask for a quick run through of all the entries just to get a feel for the overall standard. And it's the P key which will give us that. P stands for preview. So let's key P and see what happens. And as you can see, the program is quickly running through all the competition images. In a later tutorial we'll find out how to adjust the speed of this run through and to add additional information to the screen, like the title for example. And when this reaches the last image, the program will automatically jump back to our control screen. There we go. Now another thing a judge often will want to do is to comment on the images before actually going through and scoring them. And we can do this using the C for comment key. So I'm going to key C. And up comes the first image. Now this time the image will stay on view until the judge has made his comments and we want to move on to the next image. And we move on using the space bar. So let's say the judge has commented on this one and he says, can I see the next image? We key the space bar and on we go to the next one. And each time we hit the space bar, it will move on to the next image. Now, just in case you thought this was getting a little too easy, I'm going to mention two other keys here. Occasionally, the judge will want to go back to a previous image. And we can do this using the B for back key. And each hit of the B key will move us one further back. So I'll hit the back key and as you can see it goes back to the last image. When we want to resume normal service, we can either use the space bar, which as we know will move through the images one at a time, or we can hit F for forward. and this will take us back to where we were before we started going backwards. And I'm going to key F here. Right, we can continue moving through the images here using the spacebar. Incidentally, in the event of you wishing to abort the run through, you can always hit the R for return key, and this will take you back to the control screen. And this also works in the preview mode, which we saw earlier, and the judging mode, which we'll be looking at next. So I'll keep hitting the spacebar, and when we get to the last image, that's it, once more, and we get back to the control screen. Okay, now we come to the more interesting bit, and that's judging and scoring the images. And we do this by keying J to judge. Key J. Now once again, up comes the first image. But now we can't use the spacebar to move through them. We've got to score the image. And ICPro allows for scoring up to 20 points with no half marks. And we score by using the number keys on the keyboard. So let's say the judge gives this image 16 points. So we'll key 1 and 6. And as you can see, the score comes up in the top right hand corner of the screen. If you do enter the wrong numbers, don't worry, just enter them again. So perhaps we made a mistake here. We wanted to give this one 17, so I'll key 1 and 7. And when we get the score right, we have to register that score by hitting the enter key. So I'll hit enter. And when we do this, it jumps forward to the next image. So let's score this one, say 14, so 1, 4, and enter. And 16, 1, 6, and enter. Now we mentioned earlier the B for back key for going back, and we can do that in judging mode as well. So if the judge decides that he was a bit harsh on one of the previous images and wants to go back, we can key B and it will go back through the images and show us the scores that they were given. So perhaps he felt he was a bit harsh with this one and he really wanted to give it 16. We can now rescore it, 1, 6, enter. And the program will jump forward to where we were before we started going backwards. So this one, perhaps 18, 1, 8, enter. Now there's another thing a judge almost certainly will want to do, and that's to hold back some images to have a look at the end. And we can do this by using the H for hold back key. So if he wants to hold this image back, we key H. And you can see it quickly flashed hold back in the top right hand corner and moved on to the next image. So let's just do that again. We'll hold this image back as well, key H. So we've held back 2. Let's hold back one more, hold this one back, H to hold back. And we'll carry on scoring these. Give that one 15, 1, 5, enter. That one 18, 1, 8, enter. And that one 12, 1, 2, enter. And when we've been through all the images and scored them once, if we've held any back, you'll get this screen and it will tell you how many images are held back. In this case, we held back 3. It also says at the bottom there that we can key the space bar to view these images. So I can hit the space bar, 1, 2, 3, and keep hitting the space bar will take us continually through those images that we've held back. And we can now score these in any order. So if we're going to give that one 20, 2, 0, enter. And that one perhaps 19, 1, 9, enter. I'll give that one 19 as well. 1, 9, enter. And as soon as we've scored all the images, the program jumps to the results table. On the left hand side we've got the position of the images. In the centre in cyan we've got the title, and we'll see later how we can add an author's name to this if that's something we want to do. And on the right hand side we've got the actual scores. Well, that's the end of our first tutorial, and in the next one we'll start looking at how we can get our own pictures into ICPro.